cardigan sweater. Not right now. Not today. It's 70 something degrees right now. We're expecting to be about 10 degrees higher in temperature today. So I'm just sporting a t-shirt. Yeah. Anywho, welcome to Daddy's Right Here Live. Listen, so for the past couple of weeks we've been talking about sexuality. I just wrapped up the series 2 weeks ago on being underprepared, right? Overexposed and underprepared. Talking about things that children are exposed to on a daily basis. Sexually. Everything. Listen, everything in today's media, music, in the household, in the street, everything is sexually driven. And I took you back in previous shows to the creation of man, when we talked about this, Freud's psychosexual development of the human being. Everything is driven by sex. Listen, the sex toy industry wouldn't be the size that it is if everything wasn't driven by sex. Let's be real. And most of the industry has grown not just because or as a result of sex in our society today. It has always been there. It has always been there. But a lot of it has to do with interpersonal relationships as well. And I'm not going to delve too much into this statement and this content too much today because there's no need to. And if you're not getting any sound, please always let me know, because for some reason this camera jumps in and out of having to be recalibrated for some reason. So if that's ever a time, please let me know. But anywho, so yeah, so it's a matter of interpersonal relationships. People tired of, failed relationships. People tired of going in and out of situations that traumatizes them for life. Traumatizes them for life. All of us, who have been in more than one relationship, has had an abundance of traumatic content stored within the crevices of our mind. And some who have been in just one relationship too, because one relationship can totally destroy your psyche and weigh heavily on you throughout the years of your life. So that has to be resolved for these things. You can't continue to go on and think that you moved on from a circumstance if you brought no resolve to it. Moving on, forgive me, but moving on is not bringing resolve to it. That's not bringing resolve to your circumstance. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, there's a reconnection that's happening right now because it's saying something about the connection. But hang in there, and if you're having any trouble, switch on over to Instagram, because I'm there as well, right? So at Daddy's Right Here, you can find me on Instagram as well. But there's a disconnect between men and women in so many capacities, boys and girls in so many capacities, because we've become more and more screen focused. And when I mean screen focused, I'm talking about the television, I'm talking about the phone. You have all these means to be able to connect with people by yourself. So there's this whole screen age of disconnect that has heightened people to be alone. But there's another side to all of this that continues to be avoided in terms of sexuality. We hear about it in the news from time to time, but we only really hear more about it when it comes to the church. A lot of times we'll hear in the news about the allegations of child, boy specific, sex abuse, sex assault. That's the only time you really hear about it. when the Me Too movement came about. It was and still remains something that's geared towards females other than males. There were a couple of males who came out about being sexually assaulted, but then they got hushed, they got quiet, and nobody had anything to say anymore about it. And that's how males are dealt with. And I've had a number of shows speaking to that content, how males are so disregarded when it comes to sexual assault. I talked about it in my video, Why Are You My Ex Too? Because again, when young males engage in sexual activity with an older woman, we get applauded for that behavior. It's a attaboy, my man. We get high five for that kind of stuff. When we're underage and being involved with an older woman, nobody says anything about that. Nobody does anything about that. But then there's also the constant exposure that males have to both men and women. Both men and women. Whether they're caretakers, whether they're people who are guardians, people who are, you know, in places of high authority in religious institutions, at daycare, all that stuff. We keep placing our males in situations, right, that expose them to an even more prevalent environment of assault. Yeah. So today I want to talk about, there's an article here, the name of the site is 1 in 6, that's the number 1, that's the number 6, 1in6.org, and there's a helpline information and whatnot, and we're going to get to that, you know, before the show wraps up. But it's myths and facts about male sexual abuse and assault, and it begins with many people have absorbed the myths to some extent. Below, we outline the myths and the facts to encourage understanding and healing, because this is important, right? It's important. So let's just jump right into this. So there are some key facts and there are some myths. So let's talk about these things. Right to the article. Cultural myths surrounding the sexual abuse and assault of boys and men can be serious obstacles to understanding and healing. So it's important to learn just how wrong they are. Before exploring the myths, though, here are some key facts. Key fact number 1. Boys and men can be sexually used or abused, and it has nothing to do with how masculine they are. I want to repeat number 1 one more time. Boys and men can be sexually used or abused, and it has nothing to do with how masculine they are. Yeah. So when I talked about having sex at the age of 13 with a woman who was 21, 22 years old, right? I talked about it in depth. I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. I was ecstatic. You couldn't tell me anything. My whole swagger changed. It was because I was having sex at that age. My whole swagger changed. Right? But what it says here, because this is the word that often gets skipped over. Sexually used. This is an adult. I'm a child. As much as I would like to believe within myself that I was grown because I was doing some grown folks stuff, I was a child. I was being used to satisfy this person's needs. To satisfy their needs. I was a thin, light-skinned, sandy red-haired kid, right, who just so happened to have something that that person found that they could use. Like a hairbrush, right? A curling iron, a frying pan. I was being used to serve that person's purpose. Then the question becomes, okay, so at what point does it become abuse? Which is a whole nother show, and we won't go into that now. Because right now, I'm just focusing on like helping you to understand the facts and myths about what happens to males in regards to sexual assault and sexual abuse. Right? Just hitting on these key facts and key myths. We can go into it in another show. Right? So I can help you, look at the abuse and use. So it has nothing to do with how masculine they are. Because like I said, I wasn't this real masculine kind of dude. I was just, little frail dude. Quiet, shy. That's who I was. Number 2, key facts. If a boy liked the attention he was getting or got sexually aroused during the abuse, or even sometimes wanted the attention or sexual contact, this does not mean he wanted or liked being manipulated or abused, or that any part of what happened in any way was his responsibility or fault. Are you listening to what I'm saying to you? If a boy liked the attention, hone in on that for a minute. If he liked the attention he was getting, because it's 2 parts, or got sexually aroused during the abuse. So if the boy liked the attention he was getting, well, and again, I have no problem using myself for an example. So in my childhood, there were a lot of challenges. Being raised by my mother solely. She had to work, right? So I spent a lot of time by myself in fantasy land, right? Not getting the attention. And not, again, this is not saying anything negative about my mother. I'm just trying to get you to understand what happens. What happens, and I've been trying to get that hone in on that point for through the past 5, 6 shows, right? What happens when so much time is given to, we're talking about males, to your little boy, because you don't think he needs the attention, because you want him to be a man, you don't want him to be so clingy. Stop being so lovable, stop being so compassionate, because that's what you're actually doing in so many ways. Right? Giving a hug and all those things are great and they're wonderful, but there's more to developing the male. So he wasn't getting attention, so I wasn't getting the attention that I thought I should have at home. Because I was shy, right? I didn't know how to approach girls. I had no idea. They liked me. They would knock on the door and ask, can he come out and play? But I was very shy when it came to girls. Now here you have me in a position, right, where somebody is challenging that shyness by approaching me and making me feel what I wanted to feel from other little girls. I'm just saying the attention. I was getting the attention, but I didn't know what to do. Here somebody was teaching me, showing me how to do some things. So here I'm getting the attention. I wasn't getting it from somewhere else. I'm getting the attention. She woke up some things. Yeah. She woke up that monster. Yeah. Right? Or, here's the second part. He liked the attention he was getting or got sexually aroused during the abuse. I was enjoying it. Yeah. I got aroused. I got into it. I got guided. I got instructions on how to do it this way and what to do that way and this and that. I got instructions. I liked it. I was being abused. I was being used and abused. But I liked it. I liked it. It felt good inside of her. Everything that I had imagined as a little boy, that I saw in pictures, that I saw in movies, that I saw in the media, that I saw in the home, that I saw in other people's homes, all of those things came to life. Yeah. So I got aroused. While this woman was abusing me, was using me as a child. It was attention. It relieved tension. Because I talk about in my film, Why Are You My Ex 2, that not only was I ejaculating, but something was happening up in here that was being relieved. Something was happening in here that was being relieved. Right? I'm talking about me being a boy. I'm talking about what's happening to so many boys out there every single day. Because of what's not happening in the homes, in the environments where they're being raised, where they need the attention. And they're seeking relief. And it happens with girls too, because that's where all this other stuff comes into play. But we're not having that discussion today. Right now we're talking about males being sexually assaulted and sexually abused. That's where the focus is. Whether it be by another male or by a female, abuse is abuse. But it's not perceived that way when it comes to a woman having sex with an underage boy. It's not even conceptualized. So much so that you won't even see cases, right? Unless it's an institution involved, but you won't see cases coming to court about being sexually abused and sexually used and sexually assaulted. No, because the ridicule that comes along behind it when it's reported. Just like with females, just like with girls, just like with women, but the way it's handled with males is totally different. But that's another discussion. So it's two parts here, and then it goes on to say, or even sometimes wanted the attention or sexual contact. I would go there just to see her in hopes that I would get some more. Excuse me. Right? It was attention that I needed, that I desired to have, and it was satisfying me. But the satisfaction, again, was not an emotional satisfaction in terms of love or any of that. Because I didn't know anything about that. But for me at that age, it was love. It was love. I was in love. Not knowing that I wasn't in love with her per se, I was in love with what she was giving me that me as a boy had never experienced. And it put me, it's like that we would say, you smelling yourself. Yeah, I was smelling myself. I was smelling her too, and you couldn't tell me nothing. But, you know, because I liked it, because I enjoyed it, because I would go back for more. And this is what people really have to understand. The return to the scene of the crime, the return to the abuse, the return to the assault, going back to her, looking for her, yearning to be with her, wanting another her like her, and eventually finding another her like her, another adult woman. I was a child, right? Another adult woman. So it wasn't just one, because once I got that experience, it kind of opened up a Pandora's box of a sort. Yeah. Because, you know, word gets spread around. Oh, we got one. Because that's what it is. We got one. Yeah, we got one. You're an adult. You know better. We got one. He likes it. Yeah. He's teachable. He's moldable. He's groomable. Yeah, listen to the term groomable. Right? Because predatory behavior, right, suggests a manipulation of the person into believing that what is being done is right because it feels good. That's what makes it right, and we all want to feel good. We all want to do what's right. But if you can convince and manipulate and groom one into believing that it's okay, and it's like, it's on. The turn up happens. The predatory behavior is exposed. Number 3 on that list, sexual assault and assault harms boys and men and girls and women in ways that are similar and different but equally harmful. Right? It's very clear. Sexual abuse and assault harms males and females, period, in ways that are similar and different. And I talked about it probably in a couple of different shows about how, you know, we would love to believe that our little girl ain't dropping it like it's hot on little Johnny's mic. Right? We would like to believe that. We try to put the fear in God in our children, in our little girl. Right? She bet not. But because you don't understand the psychosexual development of the human being, of your own nature, because you don't understand your own nature, you think that you can control it, but you couldn't even control yours. And that's not to say that you had sex underage. What I'm saying to you was, at some point in time, it happened. Your value system may have said, I'm not having sex under this particular age. I'm not having sex until I get this age. But then I want you to look at what happened once you had it. Look at what happened once you had it. Right? Look what happened to you. And depending on who you did it with and what they were working with will really determine the outcome of how often it happened. Right? And, you know, because what you think about it, if it was like a bad first experience, it might be a minute before you have another experience, because you may begin to think that all of them is, right? It may not be enjoyable. But then if it was on and popping, oh, you going back. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But it's a matter of boys go back, girls go back. It may be the grind first, but it's happening. That kiss, it gets happening. That grind makes it happen. And it's only a matter of time. It only takes the right boy. It only takes the right girl. In many cases. I can't say all. Because everybody, but at any given time, no matter what the age, at any given time, it's going to be on and popping. And then it's just like, it's on and popping with reckless abandon. Like, you don't care anything about it. You just want to put it somewhere. You just want to put it in you. It doesn't even matter. Again, not putting love and sex together, because this is not about love and sex, but this is about interpretation of the underaged one who interprets it as love. The adult is not in love. You can't, I don't care how immature you are, how perverted you are, how predatorial you are, right? Listen, it's not love. It's sex. It's control. It's manipulation. It's harmful. Okay? It's harmful. So when you look at being similar in nature, right, versus the differences, right? The differences, because it says here, but equally harmful. The differences quite vast, because at the end of the day, girls see themselves in a sexual aspect much different than boys. Boys see it as a sense of achievement. Girls see it as a value, and like the expectation is that you value her in the same capacity she valued what she just gave you. Males aren't conditioned to have any value of their penis other than the value of, if I can hit it right, I can get, like, she'll take care of me, she'll do this for me, she'll do that for me, right? She'll do just about anything for me if I hit it right. That's how boys, are groomed, because there's no value in that other than that. When a girl values what she's giving you, even if it's a kiss, she has a different value for a kiss than males do. So yes, it's similar in some instances, but it's much different in other aspects. But again, it's equally harmful. Number 4 on that list: boys can be sexually abused by both straight and gay men and women. Sexual abuse is the result of abusive behavior that takes advantage of a child's vulnerability and is in no way related to the sexual orientation of the abusive person. Did you hear what I just said? Gay male, straight male, gay woman, straight woman, it has nothing to do with sexual orientation. So whether it's male on male, female on male, female on female, male on female, it has nothing to do with the sexual orientation of a person. It's all about that feeling. It's always about the feeling. It's always about the feeling. That's why once we get some, it changes the development of the mind. It diverts you from everything else. It's like crack. Really. It's like it's something as powerful as any drug that you can think of, because it's natural. Yeah, it's natural. Yeah, you lose your mind because it's so good. But I don't care what it is that you're addicted to. Nothing can compare to the first one. Nothing. And you spend your life chasing that first one. Yeah. The first one. That's why so many people come out of their relationships, their committed relationships, because they don't know how to be satisfied with one. Learning how to find other ways of heightening the experience between them and their partner. The heightened experience is usually with another one. And then, when you have the ability to go to this one and go to that one and go to this one and go to that one, right? You're never satisfied, but every time you switch up, it's a different feeling. So you keep that flow going instead of focusing on, I'm going to do this with my partner. We're going to find some stuff. We're going to do some stuff. I'm going to be open to doing some stuff, right? So if you're not open to doing some stuff and stuff happens between y'all that heighten that experience, what begins to happen is I begin to go off course. And you get mad when the other person goes off course, right? Because you feel like, well, how did you do this? But yet and still, you weren't open. My phone just died on Instagram. Sorry, I don't know what happened, but I lost the connection on Instagram. I think my phone is not charging for some reason. I don't know what's happening here and why it's not charging, but it's not charging. I don't know why. I'm sorry. This is live. This is what happens live, folks. So give me a second here to get this thing back on and popping with Instagram. So it's coming back on. But yeah, you have to look at all these things, right? So when you look at one that has been conditioned, one who has been conditioned to be this way as a child, because they've been abused, assaulted, and used sexually. Right? They're chasing it. Now just imagine a child that has to focus on school, has to focus on, doing things that boys and girls should do, right? that focus has been taken away. Because all I'm thinking about is her. All she's thinking about is him. She done lost her mind. Who's he with? Who's he doing it with? What is he doing? Why is he talking to her? This, that, and the other. And these behaviors stay within the person into adulthood. Insecurity doesn't just happen as a result of somebody being in a relationship where somebody, committed an act of infidelity. That's not just how it comes about. That insecurity comes about as for many different reasons. Because if I believe in you, if I feel safe with you, if I trust you, right, and I give myself of you, right, listen, it remains ingrained within the person's spirit to always be guarded, to always be on the fence, and it plays out when they get older as something very devastating. I don't know what's happening with Instagram, folks. I'm sorry. Give me about 2 seconds on that. Give me a little charge and I'll get you back up and running. So again, it says, that whether, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Sexual abuse is the result of abusive behavior that takes advantage of a child's vulnerability as in no way related to sexual orientation. Now I want to talk about vulnerability for a minute, right? Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. I've been educated all along, right? About magazines, movies, and like I said, things in my environment. I've been educated all along. Yeah, that's getting education, right? When you sit in an environment and you see these things happen, it's getting educated on those things. And then you start connecting the dots. So I've been getting educated all along. And you, as an adult, know. You already know, right? That I'm curious. That I'm curious. As a child, a child is curious. And I know he'll like it, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to make these things happen with him. Right? That's that manipulation. That's that grooming that happens. Hi, give me a hug. You're so cute. Right? Hey, come here. Come sit on my, let me talk to you. Right? Here's $1, here's a quarter, here's some candy. Right? Yeah, I got you a new pair of sneakers. You like that? Yeah. It's a grooming process. So when you look at the vulnerability, if my friends all have like name brand gear, and this dude come along, this older dude come along, right? Broke ass. But he make you think that he got it going on because he can buy you a pair of sneakers, not knowing that he probably bought it from Little Boo Boo out of the trunk, right? Or down the way on a stand, right? Or maybe stole them from his own house, whatever, but they're yours now. Oh, I got it. And you're going to give him some more. Right? Buy you this, buy you that, give you a couple of dollars here and there. I'm broke, I'm hungry. My friends sitting at the lunch table, they getting it in. They got hoagies from the spot up the street. And here I am meeting this PB&J. I want to be like my friends. Older dude come along and say, I'll pay for that for you. You want soda too? Yeah, get some soda too. Here's an extra couple of dollars. If you need something, let me know. I'm good. You might be a little hesitant in the beginning, but it's a grooming process. But you want what you want. And if I'm trying to fit in, that pressure, that peer pressure, right, is even more of a difficulty for me. I'm trying to get folks back up on, I don't know why the phone is not, I don't know what happened. I think my cord finally died on me. I hear it going in and out. So, yeah, that's that process, that vulnerability. It's the vulnerability. My loneliness at home, vulnerability. My always being, available. The vulnerability. The vulnerability. Always there, always present, always right there. Knowing I'm coming there. Knowing I'm coming there. Right? Vulnerability, taking advantage of it. Number 5. Whether he is gay, straight, or bisexual, a boy's sexual orientation is neither the cause nor the result of sexual abuse. Let me read that first sentence one more time. Whether he is gay, straight, or bisexual. A boy's sexual orientation is neither the cause nor the result of sexual abuse. By focusing on the abusive nature of sexual abuse rather than the sexual aspects of the interaction, it becomes easier to understand that sexual abuse has nothing to do with a boy's sexual orientation. Nothing. This is a fact. That's not one of the myths. That's a fact. Right? So, some people say, oh, he was acting a little feminine and so on and so forth. I ain't surprised. Nah, nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Whether he's straight, gay, or bisexual, it has nothing to do with the abuse and the assault of him. Nothing. It has everything to do with the perpetrator. One who has that desire to be with a little girl, a little boy, and I'm not saying little in terms of 5, 6, 7, I'm just talking about any age. Underage. Right? But it's not just, like I said, it's not just underage that this is specifically referencing, but if you hear a term boy, right, and girl, we're not talking about men and women, but we're talking about both here, right? But when we look at underage and we look at the vulnerability, and we look at, being taken advantage of, and we look at, how someone begins to, show, present, behaviors that you think are not manly, or they're not girly. You start coming to a conclusion with your own mind as about, I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all, on Instagram. I lost the connect. I think my charger died. But when you begin to look at those kind of things, that's usually when we make the determination. I can tell you, I've known a lot of males who others have perceived, and even myself in some cases have perceived as being a little feminine. That doesn't make them gay. But you will think that because you see some of the tendencies. You have some who are very proper. You have some who just display some characteristics and question whether they're gay, straight, or bisexual. Right? But you can't make that determination just by always simply looking. Yes, there are some, that you can tell, but don't make the assumption. I know some sisters, who have, like what we call tomboys kind of. That doesn't mean that they're gay, bisexual. That's just who they are. So it has nothing to do with anything. I don't know why my phone keeps going in and out, folks. But it's going in and out, and I just think that it died on me. So, give my apologies to those of you on Instagram. I hope you jumped over to YouTube and checked it out as well. But again, it has nothing to do with the sexual orientation of the abused, of the assaulted. It has everything to do with the abuser, the assaulter, the user. Number 6 on that list. Girls and women can sexually abuse or assault boys and men. The boys and men are not lucky, but exploited and harmed. And you really have to ask yourself, like, I was like, okay, so I didn't feel harmed. I didn't feel harmed when I was going in and out of places on this woman, with this woman. Nah. When she was performing oral sex on me, I didn't feel abused, hurt, harmed in any way. You know, when I was inside of her, vaginally, or you know, whatever it was, wherever it was put, I didn't feel harmed. I didn't feel abused. Not at all. I was good. Right? And it says here, I felt like I was lucky that I was getting it, while the rest of them wasn't. But just think of what would have happened for my development had I remained involved with a girl my age, right, or around very close to my age, but she was a child. What would my life have been like with someone who was being abstinent? Because once you interrupt that natural order of development and bring sex into play, and that's even as adults, but as a child, once you bring sex into that equation, that's the only thing that is on your mind. But take that away. What else is on your mind? Boyhood and girlhood. Because you have a chance to explore girlhood and boyhood together. Y'all talk about things. You're not sitting around talking about sex. You're happy holding hands. You're happy with that little peck on the lips. You're happy with a hug, smelling her hair, feeling her against you. And not sexually, but just you feeling safe, you're feeling warm, you're feeling all fuzzy inside. Right? And you walk away, even though that little thing standing up, even though that thing that got moist on you, you still walk away thinking about that person. Not that person's sexual organs, but thinking about that person. So many relationships that happen now have nothing to do with being my best friend, my ace boon coon, my ride to die. Have nothing to do with it. It's just having sex. And when the sex goes bad, or if the sex ain't good from the beginning, you're going somewhere else. But remember this, right? Somebody committing an act of adultery, somebody going outside the relationship to have sex with someone else, has nothing to do with you. They just want to be a hoe. They just want to be a whore. That's what they want to be. That's what they want to be. Because if you're having the conversation, and if y'all are working together, right, to kind of like, let's come to some kind of, right, because I need this, you know, from you as my partner, and if I can't have this from you as my partner, then I need to make a decision. And listen, I'm guilty of not making the right decision. I'm guilty of holding on and letting go at the same time, and going over and doing somebody else. I'm guilty of it. Right? I mean, hell, I'm 58 years old. I've been around the block. But when you begin to realize how it's more harmful to you to go that route than anything else, you attempt to, even with more vigilance, attempt to not do it. It happens. That's a reality. But at the end of the day, you have to look at the outcome. Yeah, look at the outcome. So boys or girls are not lucky, because girls get told the same thing. Oh, you got your old head. Go ahead, girl. She high-fiving. She got her new Nikes on. Got her taffy. You know. Got a little gift card in the pocket for Wawa. She good. She just came up. Boys walk around high five. Yo, what's up, man? You kind of walk differently. You talk differently. What's up, bro? Yeah. You ain't talking about how inexperienced you are. You don't even care that you don't know what you're doing. She like what you're doing, and she gonna help you do what you're doing. It's all good. Right? It's all good. But you're being exploited. We're being exploited. We're being harmed. We just don't see it until later. Until later. You don't see how you just doing this person and doing that person and doing this person and doing that person and doing this person and doing that person and all those things that you're doing. But there's relief in all of that. It's relief in all of that. And I'm not telling you it's wrong or right to have more than one partner. I'm saying to you that as a boy, as a girl, underage, because boy and girl means not adult, are having sex with someone older than you, right? That's the first thing. And I spent a lot of time talking about that. But sexual assault and sexual abuse can come from those your same age. The same exact age. You think it's just experimentation. We just playing. We just having fun. You believe that. So by the time that older person come along and give you what you wasn't getting from little Mikey, little Susie, right? Oh shit, oh man, what is this? Mikey and Susie don't know nothing about this. Right? It's a whole different flow. So sexual assault and abuse comes from all ages. All ages. I just had a lot of focus today on underage because that's been my experience. That's been my experience. But the content is speaking to any age, all ages. Sexual assault, sexual abuse is not limited to just adults. But it's important to understand that the act itself has nothing to do with the sexual orientation of the boy or girl, the man or woman. Nothing at all. It has everything to do with the perpetrator. The person who is taking advantage of the other one in order to have their own needs met, however twisted they are. Right? This is about an act. It's not about love. It's not about even liking you. It's not even about liking you. I like the booty. I like the penis. I like the vagina. I like the oral. I like the young flesh. I just like flesh. That's why they got this male toy y'all call Fleshlight. Yeah, I just like the flesh. I'm telling you, they got dolls, man, that stand as tall as I do, because it's not about being in love. It's about the act. So these dolls, they're silicone made, they're soft, they're pliable, just like a human body, right? You can put your thing up in them, man, you know, and enjoy, because it's about the act. It's not about love. It's not about love. Sexual abusers, sexual assaulters do not love you. They're just satisfying their own selfish, perverted wants and needs. That's all. They don't love you. She didn't love me. I was in love at that age. I was in love. It was devastating when she moved away. Right? Because emptiness set in, depression set in, and this is some of the mental health things that girls and boys fall into. You fall into that yourself. Think about it. When you stop getting that thing, y'all break up. That's why so many people wind up going back and hitting it. Because it wasn't about the love. It was never about the love. Excuse me. It was about the sex. And people turn around and say, well, how do you know that? Okay, let the sex be bad. Let the sex be bad. And what's going to happen? That's what I thought. So, again, this is about being exploited and harmed. You are not lucky. That ain't what's up. Number 7 on the list of facts. We're going to do the myths next week. Excuse me, y'all. Coffee got cold, so that ain't helping me because the cream is giving me more mucus because it's not hot. Number 7 on the list of facts, right? Most boys and men who are sexually abused or assaulted will not go on to sexually abuse or assault others. This is a fact, right? It's a fact. That's not to say that those who are assaulted or abused may not be abusive or assaultive, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean sexually. The anger and rage that exists, because it ends eventually, or it gets found out eventually, right? Or something else develops as a result of this interaction, whether as a child or as an adult. But it all depends on the abused as to when that comes to surface, because the human being protects itself automatically. So traumatic, assaulted, being assaulted and being abused, right? Those things, right, present in our lives to be very destructive. So the mind, the body contains it somewhere, keeps it safe, right? Because it's like you're in an oblivious condition at some point in time, when you're not in a position of euphoria because you want to get back to that attention. So it's kind of a synergistic effect that happens. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. You want it, you don't want it. You feel it, I don't feel it, don't. You know, it's a whole lot that goes on with all of that. But just understand that that doesn't mean that because I had sex with an adult woman while I was underage, that I went on to assault or abuse or use others, right? I enjoyed it with a willing partner. I wasn't going to abuse somebody. And then you have to look at the aspect of use. Am I using you for just sex as a result of a condition? Or are we consenting to do this together as responsible adults? Because there is no responsible behavior in children having sex. There's just no responsible behavior to that at all. It's not. But they are. They're having sex. They're having sex in record numbers. Well, statistics suggest otherwise. They suggest that sex is down. They didn't say that it's not, you know, a tsunami size, but they're decreasing. But are they decreasing because they're using objects? Because it's easier? Are they using their own hands and fingers because of the accessibility to online pornography? Or getting pictures from one another and masturbating to those pictures? What are they doing? What are they doing? Because the stores are adult toy stores, so they can't go into the store. Well, I'm sure they can, but legally. They're not able to enter these adult toy stores and get these toys, so either somebody's buying the toy or they're taking somebody else's toy and using it, which is a whole nother issue of sexually transmitted diseases, because if I'm taking it, so they're gaining access to things, they're creating things, they're making things, they're using things that vibrate, right? You can get a pair of clippers and put it on that thing and be like, because that thing's like, you know, it's like, I'm just, but you understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things, there's anything, hell, your finger and your hand is always available. They're always available. So men and boys who are sexually abused or assaulted will not go on to sexually abuse or assault others. That's a fact. We're about at, well, we got 1 minute, and we're at the hour. So one of the things I want you to just remember is that pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to the behaviors of people around your children. Know where your children are. Know who's there. Learn something about the people that they're being around. Matter of fact, stop letting your children be out of the home so much. And if you're doing things in the presence of the child, right? Take a look at that. Because it's just reinforcement training. I see it on TV. I've seen it at Aunt Mary's house. I've seen it in my house. It's got to be on and popping. I got to get that. Right? I got to get that. You know, I've got to. So just look at all these things, but just remember that there are many boys and girls, men and women out there who are being used, abused, and assaulted on a regular basis, and some don't even know it. Some don't even know it. Next week, we'll follow up with the 7 myths about the sexual assault, let me give you the title, the myths and facts about male sexual abuse and assault. It's a heavy piece. As always, thank you for tuning in. You could be doing anything else on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, but you're tuning in live to join me. And for those of you who can't tune in, thank you for going to the Sabir Aline educational station on YouTube and watching the rebroadcast, watching the other films, watching the recorded film footage of Daddy's Right Here Live, The Wise View, and a host of other things that I have posted there. Y'all have a great day. Peace.